Welcome back to my channel. Today's episode is all about ADUs. ADU stands for Accessory Dwelling Unit. And first of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Crystal Wong. I'm an architect in the state of California, and I primarily work in the LA area, but I do projects all over the nation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below or send me an email and I'll answer your questions. All right, let's dive into the presentation. There are three types of ADU. The first one is conversion ADU. Conversion means that you're converting an existing garage into an ADU. Number two is detached ADU, meaning you're building a brand new ADU away from your main house or main apartment building. And number three is the attached ADU, meaning you are attaching the ADU to the main structure. It can be a conversion or you can build new space to an ADU. And obviously you can build ADUs on a single family lot as well as a multi-family lot. The next thing we're going to talk about is the definition of ADU. In the government code, the ADU is a complete independent living facility for one or more persons on a lot with a proposed or existing primary resident. So you can propose a brand new home that includes an ADU, or you can propose an ADU within an existing single family dwelling. And then it should include a living room, a bedroom, a dining room, a kitchen, as well as bathroom on the same parcel as a single family or multifamily dwelling. An ADU can include the following: an efficiency unit, meaning a studio. And an ADU can be a manufactured home, so it can be a prefabricated building as well. So the government code also has restrictions and requirements for ADUs. The ADU cannot be sold independently from the main dwelling unit or the apartment unit. However, there are a couple exemptions. One is that if the dwelling unit, the property, is owned by a nonprofit organization, they could sell the ADU as a low-income housing unit separately from the dwelling unit. Or you do have to convert it into a condo, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The second one is the ADU could obviously be built on a single family lot as well as multi-family lot. Number three is that the ADU could be a detached ADU, an attached ADU, or a conversion ADU. Number four, the ADU, if it's an attached ADU to the main dwelling, it cannot be more than 50% of the main dwelling floor area. So let's say if you have a 1,600 square feet home, then the ADU cannot be more than 800, whether you're converting existing square footage or you're adding new square footage to the main dwelling unit to make that ADU. Number five is when you are building a detached ADU, then that detached ADU cannot be more than 1,200 square feet. Number six is the passageway. Passageway meaning a floor to open to sky walkway that will lead you to the entrance of the ADU or the main dwelling unit. So this is more for like a duplex or triplex, right? And it says that we don't require you to have floor open to sky walkway. You can walk on the driveway to the ADU. Number seven is the setback requirement. So setback is the floor to sky opening that you have to leave from the building to the property line. And it says that only 4 feet will be required for the rear property line and the side property line. And number 8 is when you're converting a garage into an ADU, it's just going to be an R3 occupancy, but a garage is actually an U occupancy. So it just says that like we don't make you have more requirement. Number 9 is sewer. So some city has public sewer system that you can connect to. However, in some cities, when you don't have a public sewer system, you're going to have private sewer system, meaning septic tanks and a leach field. So the code requires you to have to figure out that part first before you can design your ADU. And I'm doing a project right now that requires us to figure out this private sewer system before we even submit plans to the planning department to build an ADU. Number 10 is parking, and I will talk a little bit more about parking in a different slide, but definitely you do have to provide one parking space for the ADU. However, there are exemptions. And number 11 is fire sprinkler. So a lot of homes that are built right now, you have to install fire sprinklers. So the code says that if you don't have fire sprinkler system in the main house, then you don't have to install fire sprinkler system for the ADU. All right, let's talk about the exemption to that one parking space that you have to provide for the ADU. And I just want to preface saying that that parking space doesn't need to be in an enclosed garage. It can be located in the driveway. So the first exemption is if your lot is located within half a mile to a bus stop, then you don't have to provide that one additional parking. Number 2 is if your home is located in an historic lot, then you don't have to provide that additional parking. And number 3 is if you're converting a garage, or you converting an existing space within the dwelling unit, then you don't have to provide that additional parking. And number 4 is if your lot is located, like let's say Beverly Hills, for example, they do have a lot of areas on permit parking on the street. Then you don't have to provide that additional parking. So number 5 is that if your lot is located within 1 block away from a rideshare stop, then you don't have to provide that additional parking. Number 6, you're proposing a brand new ADU and a brand new single family home on the lot, and you meet all the code requirements, then you don't have to provide that additional parking for the ADU. And these are the exemptions where you don't have to provide parking for the ADU. All right, let's talk about the building height limitation, how tall you can build your ADU. So the government code says that you can build a detached ADU that is up to 16 feet in height for a single family lot. But however, if the lot is located within half a mile from a bus stop, then you can build up to 18 feet. And also, they grant you 2 additional feet in order to match the roof pitch of the existing single family residence. So you can actually build up to 20 feet. And that's really important because if you're building a 2-story structure, you're gonna need the height. For multifamily lot, they give you 18 feet of height, but they still grant you that 2 additional feet to match the roof pitch of the main building on the lot. So what we talked about before is all for detached ADUs. But if you're attaching your ADU to a single family building or a multifamily building, then you can build up to 25 feet. All right, so next we're gonna talk about how can you sell your ADU separately from the main unit. And you can do that by converting your unit into a condominium project. So now you're going to have HOA to take care of the common area, and you're going to have to meet some requirements in order to convert that into a condo project. So number one is that when you're converting a single family lot, you have to meet the Davis-Sterling Common Interest Development Act. And number two, you have to also comply with the Subdivision Map Act. And number three, you have to get a safety inspection via certificate of occupancy. So when you build any space, whether it's commercial or residential or industrial, the city will give you a certificate of occupancy, meaning, okay, you have gone through plan check, you did the construction, and we did all the inspections, and your building meets our code requirement, and we'll hand you a piece of paper that literally says certificate of occupancy. It will list out the how much space it has, how many parking spaces it has, or you have to hire a building inspector that is certified by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to inspect the building. And then, of course, you do have to get your lien holder consent to converting the single family lot into a condominium project. And once you converted that, then you can sell the ADU separately from the main dwelling unit. So we're going to talk about JADU next. JADU stands for Junior Accessory Dwelling Units. And actually, the government code allows you to have one ADU, one JADU, and one dwelling unit on a lot. So we're going to talk about the requirements for JADUs. So number one, you can only have one JADU on a single family lot. Number two, the owner has to live in either the JADU or the main dwelling unit. The JADU can only be maximum of 500 square feet. And number three is that you cannot sell the JADU separately from the main dwelling unit, because the JADU has to be attached to the main dwelling unit, so you cannot sell a part of a building separately. And number four is the JADU has to be constructed within the existing square footage of the existing home. So you cannot add a floor area to the existing home and call it a JADU. If you want to do that, you have to add it to the main house first as an addition. And then once you constructed the addition, get the certificate of occupancy, then you can convert that space into a JADU. And the JADU has to have a separate entrance to the unit. So you cannot enter the main house and go to the JADU. That's number five. And number six is the JADU doesn't require you to have a full-on kitchen. It requires you to have two plug-in appliances. So it could be a microwave, it could be a cooktop, but if you're building a JADU, I have done where we put in an under-counter fridge, we put in a microwave, we put in like a plug-in 2-burner cooktop and call it a JADU. You can do that. And number 7 is you don't have to have a separate bathroom for the JADU. The JADU can share the bathroom of the main house. So you do have to have access from the JADU to the main house in order to use the bathroom, but you don't have to provide a separate bathroom facility. But I mean, if you're building it to rent it out to a tenant, then I will highly recommend building a separate bathroom so that it can be completely independent. And number 8 is you don't have to provide any additional parking space for the JADU. And so there are some courts, that are pro for building JADU, but there are also cons in building JADU as well. Okay, this next part is going to sound both exciting and complicated. And please bear with me, and I'll try my very best to explain this. Some local zoning code has more restrictive code section where they don't allow you to have certain configuration for ADU and JADU. For example, the city of Los Angeles doesn't allow you to have an attached ADU and an attached JADU both to a single family home. They allow you to have a detached ADU and an attached JADU because JADU has to be attached anyways. But I have also seen all 3 attached to the main house. And this is the code section that has been applied to get that configuration. The government code says that 1 ADU and 1 JADU is allowed if all of these requirements are met. Number 1 is that if you have existing dwelling unit or accessory structure, meaning like a detached garage or a rec room, you can convert the space to an ADU or JADU. Consider that you add no more than 150 feet addition, then you can have both. And each of those ADU and JADU will have their own exterior access, meaning entrances to the space, and that the ADU and JADU will have sufficient setback requirement for the fire department to access to put out fire. And also, if the JADU meets this code section that we just talked about, if they meet all this requirement, then you could have a attached ADU, attached JADU to the main house. But it has to have one more requirement. The government code says that one newly constructed detached ADU with a detached JADU, if both of those space doesn't exceed 800 square feet and that the height limitation is met. So if you have a structure that has a JADU at the bottom and ADU on top, and that whole building doesn't exceed 800 square feet, then you can have the JADU separately from the main structure. But in the city of Los Angeles, what I have seen, I have not personally done it before, is that the ADU, JADU of 800 square feet combined is attached to the main house. You can do that as well. So there are different configurations, there are different requirements from different cities that you can apply the government code for, and that's why I am going over the government code before I show you the local zoning code. So now let's look at multi-family lots. So if you have a multi-family lot, you can convert some of those communal spaces, if you have a gym or a rec room or a movie theater, garages, basements, attics, passageway, boiler room, or storage rooms into ADUs, okay? And you can convert up to 25% of the existing building unit count. So let's say you have an apartment building that has 8 units, and then you have a rec room as well as a basement storage room. Then you can actually convert those two spaces into two additional unit. And so all of a sudden you have 10 units in a building that used to have 8 units. And also the code allows you to build two detached ADUs. So if you have space on your lot or garages that are detached from the main building, you can convert or build new structure up to two ADUs. So now if you have space within your existing building to convert, if you have 8 unit, it becomes 10 unit. And then you can also add two more units to your lot. So all of a sudden, you're allowed to have 12 units on a multifamily lot. And that is additional income. Who doesn't want more additional income, right? All right, so now let's take a look at the example of three different cities. The first one is going to be the city of Los Angeles. For the detached ADU, they are allowing you to have 1,200 square feet. But one thing that I want to point out is that if you don't want to build a building, you are allowed to build movable tiny house. You can have a tiny home that is hooked up permanently to power, sewer, and water. But you can unhook all these things and move your tiny home out elsewhere, right? But you do have to get approval every year in order to place a tiny home on your lot. So the city of Los Angeles does set a minimum of 150 square feet of tiny home to 430 square feet maximum. The city of Los Angeles typically don't allow you to have a JADU. So if you have an attached ADU, you cannot have an attached JADU. However, you could get administrative approval to have an attached ADU and attached JADU if you don't exceed the 800 square feet that we talked about in the government code. So each city adopt different code sections from the government code, and then they have their own restriction. But at the end of the day, what you can tell them is that the government code allows us to do such and such, and we want to do that. And next, we're going to look at the county of Los Angeles. The county of Los Angeles break it down into single-family residence and multifamily residences, including duplex and multifamily residence lot. Their requirements are pretty much similar to what we talked about, except this is interesting. You can have one attached ADU, one detached ADU, and one JADU. Now you're talking about like, oh my gosh, I can have 3 ADUs total on the lot plus the main house. And you see how the difference is between each city or each county. For multifamily resident, what I wanted to point out is that they allow you to have that 25% of attached ADUs plus one new constructed ADU. So the previous example was 8 unit, right? So you can build up to 10 unit plus one more unit. So now you have 11 units. And then obviously you can have two maximum detached ADU. So now you can have 13 units. And one thing I wanted to point out is that the lot coverage counts in the county of Los Angeles, but it doesn't count in the city of Los Angeles. City of Los Angeles look at the maximum buildable floor area. The next one is located in the city of Santa Ana. I am doing a project in the city of Santa Ana, and I just thought it was really interesting and I want to point something out. In the city of Santa Ana, they have a minimum size requirement for both attached and detached ADU, which is 220 square feet. However, the maximum size for a detached ADU or attached ADU can only be 1,000 square feet. And also, one thing that is really interesting is that they requires you to have 1,200 square feet of open space. And that open space requirement has to be at least 15 by 15 feet. But they take away that open space requirement that is not shown on the slide if you have only 800 square feet. Each city is so different. I just want to point out these 3 different cities, how they differ from each other. All right, let's look at the different typologies of ADUs that you can build. I'm also providing you with really rough costs in the Los Angeles area. And if you live in a different state or in the rural area, the price will vary. And I'm also providing you with some potential rent that you can get from the ADUs. The first type of ADU you can build is the conversion ADU, meaning you're converting from a garage. So a typical garage is about 20 by 20 feet, which is about 400 square feet, and then you can add up to 150 square feet. This is an ADU that I have done in the city of Hollywood. And this is actually located in a historic district, and the existing garage is actually a one-car garage. It's roughly 12 by 18 feet of garage, and then we added about 110 square feet, and we made a studio from it. And it has a 1 bathroom, a kitchen, and then we put in Murphy bed right here. It's roughly about $120,000 to $180,000 to convert an existing garage into an ADU. This kind of conversion ADU, you can get about $2,000 to $3,800 for rent. Next is a detached ADU. This is an ADU that I have built for a family of 4 people, and we max out on the square footage. The square feet is like 1,185 square feet. And we put in 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms with a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen as well, and also the laundry room. So for brand new ADUs, you're looking at roughly $300,000 to $350,000. And for rent, you get roughly about $3,500 to $6,000. The last typology is an attached ADU. It can be, again, existing square footage or brand new square footage. For this home, actually, you enter through an upper floor, and then you'll go down to the lower floor. The sides slope up from here to down to here. And we are converting this portion in the lower part of the existing house to an ADU. And we're looking at about 300 to 400 square feet. And if you want to build brand new square footage, it's about the same thing. And you get about $3,000 to $4,400 for a 800 square feet ADU. So this is it. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this presentation. I hope that you learned something about ADUs. And right now I am running a special where I am doing free zoning analysis for those of you who wants to build anything on any lot. It doesn't have to be a single family lot. It can be multifamily lot or commercial lot or industrial lot. And the zoning analysis will include the buildable area, the height requirement, the FAR, the lot coverage, the setback requirements, and it doesn't have to be in the state of California. It can be in out of state. And like I said, I do projects all over the nation. And if you have any more questions, please leave a comment below. And for those of you who wants to take advantage of this free zoning analysis offer, please send me an email at this email address. It will be crystal@real-arch.com. And in the title, please put in free zoning analysis, and then tell me your address, tell me what you want to build, and I'll provide you with the free zoning analysis. Thank you again. I hope you have a beautiful day.